Chapter 124 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. The horses for the Emperor's use were all very well trained. No matter what happens inside the carriage, the imperial horse would simply stand in its place, grazing leisurely. Jiang Xing paused suddenly and took out a box of rogue from out of nowhere. Lin Qingyu opened his lips slightly. Through a haze, he saw Jiang Xing dip his fingertip into the gorgeous rogue and then smear it on his lips. Jiang Xing was inexperienced and didn't apply it very well. The rogue was faintly smeared on the corners of Lin Qingyu's mouth, making him appear not drunk but tipsy, bright and affectionate. Jiang Xing stayed unmoving at him for a long time. Lin Qingyu called out, dazed, "Jiang Xing?" Jiang Xing hugged him, almost like a sigh. "Qingyu, how did you grow up like this? Do you know how gorgeous you are?" As he said that, as if he could no longer control himself, he closed his eyes and kissed Lin Qingyu. Lin Qingyu still kept his eyes open. Leaning his back against the bookshelf on the carriage, he was almost hanging on Jiang Xing's body. He saw sweat drip onto Jiang Xing's drooping lashes. When they parted, Jiang Xing also had a touch of rogue on his lips. Coupled with his passionate eyes, it was even more moving than when he first saw him. Lin Qingyu raised his hand and stroked the corner of Jiang Xing's mouth. He said, voice hoarse, "Then why aren't you continuing?" Sha Songxi and the others were waiting half a mile away from the carriage. By the time they were called back by the Emperor, it was already dark. "What?" Come on. Even if you can't write everything, you can do a little bit more. Just don't end it abruptly. There was not even a sentence about it. Come on. By the time they were called back by the Emperor, it was already dark. "Build that fire, boil some hot water, and let's cook something to eat," Jiang Xing told him. "We will sleep outside the city tonight." Sha Songxi said, "Your Majesty, even though the carriage is big, it definitely won't be comfortable enough to sleep on. If we hurry, we can reach the city and spend the night there." Jiang Xing smiled and said, "You don't understand. We are doing this for fun." When the hot water was ready, Jiang Xing personally carried it back to the carriage. With the few rabbits the shadow guards hunted and the dry preserved food and seasonings they'd bought with them, they all had more than enough to drink for dinner. After the rabbit was roasted, Jiang Xing helped Lin Qingyu off the carriage. The Empress was the very picture of calm and composure, even if he did smell like another man. The rabbit they roasted simply over an open fire, of course, wasn't good as the one cooked in the palace, but Lin Qingyu thought it still tasted good. It seemed he was really hungry. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed in front of Lin Qingyu's eyes. It was the shadow guard who'd been secretly guarding them. Shadow guards can only show up when their master is in danger. Jiang Xing asked, "What happened?" Holding something in his hand, the shadow guard knelt in front of the Empress and said, "Replying to their Majesties, there was a snake entangled in a tree just now." It was the light of the fire. Lin Qingyu saw the snake in the shadow guard's hand clearly. He said, "It's cute." The shadow guard was taken aback, wondering if he should be gentle with this little snake. "Unfortunately, it's not poisonous." Lin Qingyu was silent for a moment. "Your Majesty, I miss the little poisonous snake." Jiang Xing raised his eyebrows. "Then, should we head back to the palace now?" Lin Qingyu calmly said, If that's the case, then having fun is still more important. Jiangxing couldn't help teasing. What a cruel imperial mother and father. For the sake of having fun, they completely neglected their children. Oh my gosh, we totally forgot these are the murderous, poisonous duo, huh? I was totally in the days of the honeymoon. Lin Qingyu and Jiang Xing spent the entire spring in the south, after which they went to the summer palace to escape the heat of summer. When they returned to the palace, it was almost autumn. What awaited Jiang Xing was a mountain of official documents. How much fun he had at the beginning was how miserable he cried afterwards. This autumn and winter, Jiang Xing never slept for more than 3 hours. After making it to the new year, when he could set aside state affairs for a while, a bunch of family affairs popped up. The kings of the various fiefs were returning to the capital one after another to celebrate the new year. There were endless family banquets in the palace. Fortunately, the Empress Dowager was around to help orchestrate these events, and Jiang Xing didn't have to bother too much. He just had to bring his wife to put on a show at the banquet itself. In the past, the concubines would enter the palace to pay their respects to the Empress Dowager and the Empress. This year, the Empress was a man and the rules have changed. Empress Lin had no interest in seeing them, so he spared them the trouble of having to come. The only ones who were allowed to enter the palace to pay respects to Empress Lin was the Lin family. Lin Qinghe had grown into a young boy. Although not as beautiful as his elder brother, everyone could tell that he will be a handsome man in the future. Lin Qinghe wasn't as interested in medicine as his father and brother, and he will be taking the imperial examination in the future to pursue his career as an official. He was currently studying away from home, and the number of times he got to visit in a year could be counted on one hand. Since it was so rare for Lin Qingyu to see his younger brother, he got to stay in the palace for a few days. On the day of the Lantern Festival, Lin Qingyu was supposed to be in charge of the festivities. But his little poisonous snake had eaten something and had been listless since last night, curled up in a ball and shivering. Lin Qingyu felt distressed and stayed by the little poisonous snake's side to take good care of it. This was a small snake from the western regions. Its body was light blue and eyes bright red like agate. It was said that it could only survive in the environment of the western regions. Lin Qingyu managed to find a nest of snake eggs and successfully hatched 3 of them. Only this little snake grew up to adulthood. Jiang Xing had even named him Jiang Shaolin. Lin Qingyu tried to feed the little snake a special decoction. After drinking the medicine, the little snake finally got back some of its appetite. It stuck out its tongue and slithered slowly towards the fresh bullfrog beside it. Seeing this, Lin Qingyu was slightly relieved. At this time, Hualu came in to report. Empress, the second young master, and Prince Yi are here. King Yi and Jiang Xing's most insignificant cousin, with a fief so far away from the capital that he could only return to the capital once every 3 to 5 years. Not long after his father died of illness, being that he was the only son, the title automatically fell to him. King Yi's son, named Xiao Jia, was only 5 or 6 years old, and it was his first time coming to the palace with his father. Lin Qingyu asked, "Why is Prince Yi and Qinghe together?" Hualu replied with a smile. Second young master ran into the prince by chance in the imperial garden. Seeing that he was lively and cute, he took him to play together. Lin Qingyu said, "Have them wait for me in the main hall." Lin Qingyu settled the little poisonous snake and went to the main hall. He saw Lin Qinghe holding Shah Ja's hand as Shah Jia looked around curiously, his pair of big eyes looking extremely lively. When Lin Qinghe saw Lin Qingyu, he let go of his hand and said, Qinghe gives his greeting to elder brother. Shah Jia followed suit and knelt down. This humble servant, Shah Jia, greets the empress. Though only 5 or 6 years old, he already spoke quite eloquently, and his demeanor as he knelt and saluted wasn't any less dignified than that of an adult man. Lin Qingyu nodded lightly. Qinghe, what are you doing in Xinjing Palace? You should take your friend somewhere else more fun to play. Lin Qinghe smiled and said, replying to elder brother, he heard from me that elder brother is raising a blue snake and he pestered me to let him take a look. Lin Qingye was slightly surprised. You're not afraid of snakes? Shah Jia smiled, his brows and eyes curving. Replying to the empress, I'm not scared. Snakes are so cute. Lin Qingye smiled lightly. Then follow me. No matter how adept the little poisonous snake seemed at reading humans' actions, Lin Qingye would never let a child get close to it. Shah Jia simply looked at it from a distance. His little face flushed with excitement. He kept exclaiming, It's so cute and pretty. Lin Qinghe, by one side, patiently told Shah Jia all about the little snake. It's native to the western regions, which is very far away from the capital. We have named him Zhang Shaolin. Shah Jia was confused. Ah, why is that surname Zhang? Lin Qinghe was stumped by the question. That I don't know either. Lin Qingye looked thoughtfully at the two young boys, one big and one small. A thought inadvertently sprouted in his heart. Lin Qingye joined Lin Qinghe and Shah Jia for some snacks in Xinjing Palace. Not long after, Shah Songxi came to remind him that it was time to prepare for the family banquet and lantern festival. It was another year of the lantern festival, with thousands of lights, trees looking like if afire, and flowers shining silver. Dressed in fine clothes, the emperor and the empress climbed up the tower, standing atop the highest point of the capital, overlooking the city that never sleeps. The Empress Dowager was getting old, so after only a short time spent admiring the scenery, she returned to Xi'an Palace. Once she was gone, the remaining insignificant people were not worthy of the attention of the emperor and empress. Lin Qingyu casually cut a paper lantern and said, Your Majesty, have you ever thought about adopting children? Jiang Xing said, Since you brought it up, does the empress have someone in mind? Not really, Lin Qingyu said, but I think we can put some thought into this matter. Jiang Xing said with a smile, It's possible, but there is no need to rush. There will be much time in the future. Lin Qingyu smiled. In the distance, dots of bright light gradually rose into the sky, brightening up the entire night sky. They had much time in the future. This moment was perfect, just as it was. Jiang Xing? Lin Qingyu's eyes were alight. Happy 4th anniversary. Jiang Xing was slightly taken aback and he stared at Lin Qingyu's side profile. The night was as day and this beauty was as jade. Happy 4th anniversary. Jiang Xing raised the corner of his lips. Please continue to take care of me in the coming year. At this time next year, you will love me more than you do now, alright? Love him more, but he already loved him so much. Lin Qingyu said, That depends on your performance. Jiang Xing smiled lightly. Then I will work hard. Oh my gosh, these cuties. I love them so much. It's like tooth rotting fluff with them. The author has something to say. This story ends here, and the timeline will not be lengthened. Because I want the salted fish and the beauty to stay in their best years, to indulge always in love, the forever 18-year-old classmate Jang. Okay, so that kind of like ends the extras that kind of like continue on the timeline of the main story. The following chapters will be the modern AU version. I was seriously hoping for more of Jingchen and King of North stories, as well as our ex crown prince and Shen Haoshi's romance. Was he good? Definitely not, but if anybody puts in the effort for the redemption arc, he would be a perfect candidate. In Hua's refusal of Monarch, I don't think he did enough to actually deserve any redemption. But yeah, I think he should suffer a little bit more, grumble a little bit more, suffer a little bit more, and realize Shanhaoshi's love and reciprocate it, feel guilty about it, beg Shanhaoshi to take him back, then slowly build a life. I totally wish that. I'm kind of sad that we won't be able to see those stories. But who knows? I haven't read the extras before, so the author might surprise us, but at least we can look forward to the modern AUs. Let's go for that bubble tea dates.